Um, I don't know what else to say about this stuff. I don't know. It's just, please, like, I need to do my job. Okay. There are a lot of adults in here, and there are a lot of young people in here as well that want to hear about the news. Okay. They want to hear about what's going on. Defending your favorite streamers, not advocacy or organizing. Please refocus, chatters. It's just, it's utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. I know it sounds like it's the most consequential thing that's ever happened in the history of mankind, and people are really dragging it over and over again. But please, for the love of God,
who would have thought that of all the things that would bring Cenk's nephew down, an absolutely horrible person, internet communist, terrorist supporter, somebody who said America deserved 9/11, among a bunch of other terrible things. He's threatened 2 sitting United States senators with murder and a bunch of other craziness, that the thing that would bring him down eventually would be the fact that he mistreats his dog, that he was caught on stream shocking Kaya with a shock collar because Kaya got up out of the spot where she's supposed to sit for the entirety of the stream so that she could be in frame, so that Cenk's nephew can look like a decent person because, oh my god, he's got such a cute dog behind him. Isn't he a great person? Now, for some reason, there are some absolute idiots and sycophants that are still trying to deny that Cenk's nephew absolutely shocked his dog. This is 100% the case. You can see it in the clip right here.
Of all of America's much more consequential violence, okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just, you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom. No, she doesn't want to come over here to see what's up. She just wants to roam the house because she got to roam the house when I was gone. And she needs to literally have the same structured, regimented. I think that clip went to Trump's big baby desk immediately. I hate everything. I hate everything.
And that clip on its own should be enough to tell you all you need to know, because he was trying to get the dog to go back into its position. The dog was getting off. He was angry. He reaches off camera, and then all of a sudden the dog yelps in pain. And guess what? Cenk's nephew says, "You're being such a baby," rather than wondering what this mystery ailment that the dog was hit with that caused it to yelp out in that particular manner. In addition to that, I will also point out that after the dog was shocked, the dog ended up going into the exact position that Cenk's nephew wanted it to go in, as in that shock collar is used to discipline the dog in order to make sure that it complies with his commands. And to be clear, I'm not saying that in no circumstances is it acceptable for you to use a shock collar on your dog. I mean, again, if you're at a park or something and your dog's about to attack a child or something of the sort, and you have a particularly vicious dog, it makes perfect sense, in my opinion, to deploy that, because you don't want a kid or a person or somebody else's dog to get hurt due to the fact that your dog is out of control. However, in this particular circumstance, the reason he deployed the collar was to make sure the dog stays in place for his streams, because he views this animal, this living thing, as a prop. And by the way, if you are not convinced by that video, even though the evidence is already overwhelming right there, the internet has identified the collar, identified multiple instances of him shocking the dog, and in addition to that, the internet has also shown us multiple instances where you could see the remote that goes directly to the shock collar. And this is what we're going to talk about today. All the evidence and all the lies surrounding this particular incident, the ever-evolving story from Cenk's nephew, because obviously this guy has been caught. He's basically being thrown under the bus by everybody with sense, while simultaneously being backed by a bunch of psychopathic sycophants that are absolutely in love with him. But before we get into that, I want to thank you guys for not shocking me over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
President Ronald Reagan speaks about the air traffic controller strike. He states very clearly that if the striking union do not report to work in 48 hours, they'll be fired from their jobs. The president then takes questions along with Attorney General William French Smith and the Secretary of Transportation, Andrew Lewis Jr.
This morning at 7 a.m., the union representing those who man America's air traffic control facilities called a strike. This was the culmination of 7 months of negotiations between the Federal Aviation Administration and the union. At one point in these negotiations, agreement was reached and signed by both sides, granting a $40 million increase in salaries and benefits. This is twice what other government employees can expect.
So in a lot of people's coverage of this particular instance, for whatever reason, this part gets left out of the video. What I just showed you right there is a clip of Cenk's nephew reading the chat, realizing that everybody is talking about the now viral clip of him shocking his dog. So he goes off camera, lures the dog with him off camera, presumably to remove the collar so that it can't be seen for the rest of the stream. And then he returns to his seat, conducts the stream again, and about an hour later, he pretends that he is reacting to the controversy for the first time. He's just learning that people are talking about it, even though, again, you can clearly see him looking at his chat, being wall to wall about him shocking his dog an hour prior to this.
To hear oral arguments on Thursday.
Oh my
we should
God.
note that new CBS.
Is there like a LSF video or something? Is that why there's like hella people coming in here and screeching? Is that what's going on? Oh, classic. It started on D, then H3, then LSF is the classic pipeline. I'm gonna die, dude.
Now, this is the first explanation that Cenk's nephew ends up providing. He says the dog caught her dew claw on the mattress or some such thing, and that is why the dog yelped in pain. And for whatever reason, even though the dog, not connected to a command from him at all whatsoever, ended up experiencing severe pain in the dew claw, the dog then complied with the command that he was given. So already, I'm calling BS on this.
To hear oral arguments on Thursday.
Oh my
we should
God.
note that new CBS.
Is there like a LSF video or something? Is that why there's like hella people coming in here and screeching? Is that what's going on? Oh, classic. It started on D, then H3, then LSF is the classic pipeline. I'm gonna die, dude. Yes, I am incredibly abusive to the not only best trained, but also the best behaving and most spoiled dog on the planet. Is from when Kaya yelped. Yeah, she yelped because she clipped herself on something when she was getting off the bed.
Again, in a span of about 60 seconds, he pretends that he discovers the controversy for the first time and then has a canned explanation about the dew claw that does not stand up to scrutiny when you look at the actual footage. But things actually get worse because Cenk's nephew has a bunch of other additional explanations because he's changing his story repeatedly, included but not limited to, he was reaching for something that opens the gate to his home, and the dog always reacts to the gate being open from the home by getting excited.
Guys that don't even know Kaya's name, coming in here saying abuser. I know. Can we just move on, please? Because the memes were funny in the first couple of days, but now the only people that still are like actively pushing it are people who are genuinely mentally ill in the way that like anytime my fucking arm moves around or like I unlock the gate or some like I do have a button on my desk for the gate, right? And I unlock the gate, and obviously if you have a dog, you know this already, when they hear that the gate is unlocked, they perk up. They're like, oh my God, he shocked her again.
And again, this explanation does not make any sense. If the dog was reacting to when he reached for the remote in order to open the gate, you would assume that the dog wouldn't yelp in pain and then sit down on the cot that, again, is designated for her to sit down on for the purposes of being a prop in his stream. You would expect the dog to get up after he reached for the remote, not yelp in pain and then lay down, complying with his command. in the exact same way that, you know, you would do if you have a shock collar. However, I also want to point out that never in this stream did Cenk's nephew actually show us the shock collar. What he did, again, let me remind you, is notice the controversy, lure the dog off camera, then approximately an hour later, he pretended he was reacting to the controversy for the first time, then he said the dew claw thing, and then he changed it to he was going for the remote. But I'm actually skipping a little bit ahead because I talked about this at the end of my previous video, which was Cenk's nephew actually showing a collar on stream the next day and saying that the collar was vibration only.
This is one of Kaya's many collars. Come here, sit. Good girl. This is the one that people are talking about. Okay, this is the one. This is the one that they saw. It has the capacity to vibrate, and that's it. Are you happy? That's it. Good. There's the air tag. There's the vibrator. It also has a flashlight component to it at nighttime, and it also has a tracker on it when she gets lost. If she were to actually get lost, you are able to, it emits a sound. Okay?
Now, internet sleuths have noticed that this collar actually has black electrical tape on it, and in fact, if you change the contrast of the image, you could see the tape much more clearly, even though it's black on black because it's a different gradient of black. If you mess with the settings, you can see that, and it appears that that tape is meant to cover where the prongs would be on a shock collar. In addition to that, we can also see, based on this, that it actually lines up not with the vibration-only model, as Cenk's nephew describes, but with the model, again, that has the shock capability. So it seems rather weird that a full day later, after he already pretended an hour later to react to the controversy that he knew about an hour prior, he decided to remove the prongs from the shock collar and then put duct tape over said prongs, which, by the way, of course, Cenk's nephew denies to this very day. But it actually gets even more interesting because Cenk's nephew also changed his story from he was reaching for the garage opener to he was reaching for a Zin cartridge, and he should not do that anymore on his stream, which again is the third version of the same sequence of events that doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever.
What were you reaching for in the clip? What do you think? That's where all my fucking Zintins are.
So we have three different explanations right now in this moment about what he was reaching for and why the dog reacted in the way that it did that don't make any sense at all whatsoever. But again, one of the things I pointed out is that internet sleuths have been on the case. They've been going through his video archives, and one of the things that they were able to find was an overhead shot from Cenk's nephew's room, and wouldn't you know it, right exactly where he was reaching while he was on stream is the exact remote to the shock collar, not the vibration collar, that people have found on Amazon. That obviously is what the dog was wearing.
Wide shot.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this back thing off.
Boom.
Yes, again. Hi, Jack. Where's the camera, huh?
No.
Think about going outside.
Again, not only can you see it for yourself, but you can see Cenk's nephew move it out of frame when he notices that it's in frame. It's the only thing that he moves out of frame, and then he looks up at the camera with a dumbfounded, guilty look on his face. So this is obviously something that he's been trying to obscure for a very long time. In addition to that, there's a bunch of other videos where people have spotted on his streams him pulling out this exact remote, which again goes to the shock collar based on the color and the placement of the buttons, not the vibration collar, which obviously indicates that this guy does in fact have the shock collar.
We gotta get my leash. She can hang.
Like you can walk off leash and stuff?
Yeah.
That's unreal, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I also got professional training for her as well. So
Okay.
that's the other thing.
Yeah.
But to make matters worse for Cenk's nephew, his own supporters, his own simps, the people that are lying for him, can't even keep their story straight. So while a bunch of people are going with the vibration collar narrative, a streamer called QT Cinderella that actually hosts a podcast with Cenk's nephew says that she goes over to his house each and every day. And she said that the day after this happened, she went over to his house and she got an up-close look at said collar, and it was the shock collar option. However, the prongs had been removed just as people suspected, and guess what? There was black tape put over where the prongs were removed from.
No, there's no shock. Like, the electric prongs are taken out of it.
But here's my thing, right?
Like, it's only a vibrate. Like, there's a setting for vibrate and there's a setting for
True,
shock.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
So there's only the, like, since the prongs are in it only vibrates. So, what I had to say, I went to his house, I looked at the collar is taped off where I think there would be prongs.
Yes.
There's no zap, there's only a vibrate function.
Now, of course, this undercuts a bunch of supporters and simps for Cenk's nephew who have been trying to make the case that it was the vibration only model, that everybody's being a schizo conspiracy theorist, and included in these simps for Cenk's nephew are people like Taylor Lorenz, who said it's actually impossible to remove the prongs from said collar.
After Hassan revealed the vibration collar on stream, bad actors attempted to leverage the fact that he put a small piece of tape on the back to conceal his phone number, which is like written in Sharpie on the back of the little vibration box, as evidence that he somehow secretly modified and soldered down shock collar prongs. Something that would basically be like impossible to do, like impossible.
No, you just use a tool. You could do it with needle nose pliers and pull the prongs off yourself.
The simplest of solutions, okay? This is what you would call a unobtainable item. This is flyers. I know, wild things for everyone to own. Have you ever seen one of these before? These devices, Mr. Niven?
No, never.
No? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on the prong. So you can see I'm holding it right there. Now, what do you think the odds are that I have enough grip strength to do this? With one hand. One hand. They're basically impossible to do. What do you think?
I'm going to give you 20%. With one hand?
20%. One hand. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's done.
Are you shitting me, Taylor Lorenz? Okay, I'm not going to do the other one because I think I can salvage this one, ironically, by soldering the piece back on. But let me go get some hockey tape. We can solve this mystery once and for all.
Something that would basically be like impossible to do, like impossible.
And of course, we had Sasha Grey, a former adult actress star, also defending Cenk's nephew.
I saw someone who provided info of the collar when he showed it. He took out the contact points and put electrical tape over it. I watched the same clip. There's no tape. And you can't take those points out. You cannot cut the prongs off that's what I'm saying. The cope is so hard with a lot of people on this.
Then being confronted with the clip of QT Cinderella saying that it was a shock collar with the prongs pulled out and duct tape pulled over it, and suddenly not wanting to talk about it.
Like, the electric prongs are taken out of it.
But here's my thing, right?
Oh, I don't want to watch any more of this.
Then we have Pokimane, who is another sycophant, who originally ended up posting a statement saying that they weren't going to have this guy on the podcast due to the controversy because they were uncomfortable by it, and what looked like a breath of fresh air from somebody in Cenk's nephew's orbit actually holding him to account for the thing that he obviously did, and by the way, continues to lie about and change up his story repeatedly to this very day. However, we come to find out that allegedly that post was put up by staffers of Pokimane, and she decided to announce that basically she was going to fire them for daring to speak out against Cenk's nephew, because this is the kind of pressure that is being put on these people behind the scenes in order to comply. But it actually gets significantly worse, and this I first saw published by Tectone, but full disclosure, it was actually direct message to me in the message request, which I assume is where Tectone ended up getting it, and this was footage of Cenk's nephew seemingly abusing his dog and taking taking great pleasure in the fact that he locked his dog in with a bigger dog so that bigger dog could scare her and bite her. And again, he was broadcasting this all over his Twitch stream. And to be clear, I'm going to redact this heavily. I'm not going to actually show you any of this because I do think this crosses the line into animal abuse according to YouTube's terms of service. But I just want you to see his reaction, see what he's describing to his audience, and again, realize who we're dealing with right here.
I don't know if putting them in a confined space like this together is a good idea, but we're about to see very quickly. She will most likely recognize, she will very quickly learn that that's probably a mistake. Because if she keeps pushing Fiona, Fiona is going to bite. Oh, there we go. Good job, Fiona. You tell her. One thing I will tell you, I've seen her. Kaya is really funny when she's scared. Being scared, but it gives me anxiety. Maybe it's me. No, I want her to bite her. What do you mean? That they had to chop it. I know Fiona wants out. She's not getting out, though. Fiona snaps at her. She'll just go, ah, 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 and like run away. Run away like a fucking goofball crying. It's the funniest thing on the fucking planet. Oh, Fiona, stay in there. She needs to learn. See? See? She wants out. See?
The wind, children.
Did you see that? I want you guys to see what happens when she actually gets scared. It's so fucking funny.
Now, I believe Shoe on Head is the first one to say this, so credit where credit is due to her or whoever she might have taken it from, but she pointed out that the left said that they wanted their own version of Joe Rogan, but what they actually ended up getting was their own version of Michael Vick. Now, of course, the sycophants for Cenk's nephew are also defending this. They're saying this is how you socialize a dog. And again, as somebody who has owned a dog in my lifetime and then ended up getting another dog in the household, this is 100% how you do not socialize a dog with another dog or a cat or any animal at all whatsoever. You do not put them in a tightly confined space so that you could see the aggression and then laugh at and encourage the aggression. And people have pointed out that there's a dog fighting incident that occurred in another Twitch stream that Cenk's nephew was having, where he was at a party with a bunch of other streamers, where his dog Kaya, after getting up close with one of the other streamers' dogs, ended up attacking that dog, and it obviously scared a lot of people in there. However, I don't think I can show you this as well, because even though the dog seemed fine after that, I believe it also ends up crossing the line for YouTube's terms of service. But I want you to hear a little bit of this so you can understand what was going on.
No, I'm too lazy. I knew the chicken was going to be a problem. I was telling Cutie.
Now, this is important for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, Cenk's nephew has been trying to go after his audience, saying that they don't understand the sophisticated methods of training and structure that he puts around his dog in order to make sure that his dog Kaya does not misbehave. But in reality, what he's doing is abusing something known as place training in order to make sure the dog is in frame for his streams to, again, get the maximum cuteness points. Look, I'm not sorry to break this to you, but if you don't see how weird it is that the dog's place where it's supposed to go and it's supposed to be the happy place for the animal happens to be the most ideal place on stream. And if you haven't seen the video of Cenk's nephew saying that he basically leashed the dog to this particular cot in order to make sure she stays there for hours and hours on end.
And also, one of the parts of this training is also supposed to put her, like, we're using the elevated bed, as you guys can see. And one of the things with the elevated bed is that she has a leash on right now on the elevated bed, so she can't like really get off of it. So she now knows to sit in place for hours and hours on end.
then your IQ is so low, you're probably a top tier Twitch subscriber to Cenk's nephew. What he's obviously doing is using the dog as a prop, and he's taking something that his audience might not know a lot about and garbling it up in order to make the case that this is perfectly normal and rational. And the thing is, a lot of people buy into this because they feel like going against Cenk's nephew will have their audience unleashed upon them, and that's why even in an incident where his dog ends up going crazy and biting somebody else's dog, the people who own that other dog don't express any anger or any frustration with him, and Cenk's nephew, by the way, doesn't even really have to apologize for his dog's actions. So yeah, this is not about training it to be super social and the best dog humanly possible. This is about training it to do its job, which of course is be a prop for him on stream, and that's why people find what he did so disgusting. And by the way, I'm really condensing over a week's worth of research that people have done into this particular scenario into one video that's trying to be concise and streamlined. There's a whole bunch of other instances, a whole bunch of other video clips that you can look up for yourself that show the truth that this is in fact a shock collar. He did in fact deploy it. He has deployed it in the past, and he has a very sketchy past when it comes to the treatment of his particular animal. But if you thought I was going to leave you hanging with the recent update from Cenk's nephew, which was him changing his story yet again, I gotta bring you the latest lie because it's absolutely hilarious.
Third group of people are the ones who are like, look at this clip, look at that clip, look at this clip. Like, it's obvious he's moving his arms around. Like he's constantly in a state of zapping, and they've moved away from the initial conversation, which was that like she didn't even have that collar on to begin with, and the only reason why I showed the collar was because people were clipping other instances.
So let's get this straight. Cenk's nephew wanted you to believe that the dog ended up hurting herself and then following his command because the dog hit her dew claw, yelped in pain, and then again immediately followed his command. But he also wants you to believe that he was reaching off camera not to grab the remote for the shock collar, which is exactly where he keeps it. And by the way, one of his own friends trying to help him revealed that he does in fact have a shock collar that he broke the prongs off of and then put duct tape over. Again, she saw this the day after, by the way, so obviously when he did it for the stream, but he wasn't reaching for that. He was actually reaching for the garage door opener, which causes the dog to get excited, even though, again, the dog actually yelped in pain and then followed the command that he was giving. But in addition to that, he wants you to believe that he was reaching over for a Zinn container, not the gate opener, as he described earlier, and him reaching for the Zinn container caused the dog to yelp in pain and then lay down on the cot following the command that he was previously giving the dog. Again, multiple different excuses, doesn't make any sense. But then he wants you to believe that even though he showed you this collar the very next day, which people have proven to be a shock collar, that he broke a piece off or two pieces off and then put tape over, that collar wasn't even being worn by Kaya at the time of the stream. So if that's the case, why did you show that to us? Like, why did you actually show the audience a collar to debunk the idea that the collar that Kaya was wearing was a shock collar if you're going to say, oh, actually, that wasn't even the collar that the dog was wearing? And by the way, you can see in the video, it's the same collar on the same stream that he didn't even bother to take down. So that doesn't make any sense at all either.
First of all, are any of the collars illegal? No. Even in the maximalist position, even if what like the people that are claiming are just like a significant threat or whatever, like I've said this already, e-collars that have shocking components that feel like a TENS machine, which I've used on myself in the past because, you know, I'm around dogs that have been trained with that and use it, is not only is it not illegal, but it's also straight up used in the e-fencing for people, and it's used in the training of like dogs in general.
But then, as you heard right there, Cenk's nephew starts making the case that shock collars are actually perfectly acceptable to use. They're perfectly good, they're perfectly fine, they're nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned about. And this I find also incredibly interesting because he's saying that it's not a shock collar, it wasn't even the vibration collar. I showed it to you the next day with tape on it for no reason. Ignore the fact that you spotted the remote in at least 4 different streams and him trying to obscure it in each and every one of them.
And now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Well, it's here we can.
It's you have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking her.
She's like, it's because she has a lot of neck meat.
Ignore the fact that when he had a guest on his stream who complained about the dog's collar being too tight, he actually took the collar off the dog and then hid it under the table so that nobody could see it on camera, trying to be slick. You just need to believe all the different various explanations that he gave. And in addition to that, you also need to believe that he showed you a collar that was a vibration collar that the dog wasn't even wearing at the time. So again, why did he show you that? Now, I want to be 100% clear to everybody out there in the audience. If you believe any of these ever-changing stories, you're an absolute idiot. You're an absolute doofus. You honestly shouldn't have the right to vote because your IQ does nowhere near qualify you to make decisions about what pants you're going to put on, let alone choosing elected officials. But these streamers, the ones that are backing him up, and by the way, I didn't even mention Valkyrie, who decided to bring up the Palestinians in order to deflect from the dog collar thing in a ridiculous answer to questions about it.
Oh yes, I have seen the Kaya stuff, and let me tell you, Kaya is, well, first of all, the clip did look horrible. The clip was really bad. It was so bad. And it's understandable why everyone was freaking out about it, but I can verify that Kaya is the most loved and spoiled and just the most well-trained and best little baby or big baby that I have ever been around and that I have ever seen. So, big baby. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. You would think that this kind of outrage, we would have seen it towards like the genocide and stuff, but this priorities in this world are not where they should be.
But to be clear, the people that are repeating his story, the people that are running cover for him, they don't believe it. They know it's a lie. They know it's false. They're covering it up, even though many of them have spoken out against animal abuse in the past. By the way, Philip DeFranco is included in that group of people lying and covering up for Cenk's nephew. And the reason they're doing this is because they don't care about animal abuse when somebody that they're aligned with politically or who could potentially hurt them is involved. If you can lose clout over it, these people will not take a stance against anything. And this, in a lot of ways, goes to prove to all of us that the LA streaming scene is basically identical to the Hollywood scene, which of course means that these people would cover up other things. I mean, again, a lot of the explanations that these people end up giving are eerily similar to defenses of people who are domestic abusers, which is, I never saw him do the thing, even though they're not examining the evidence. If you ever wondered why people like Harvey Weinstein were able to get away with so much despite it being an open secret for so long, it's because people like this. It's because of a culture like this. It's a sick culture. And again, if Cenk's nephew were abusing a woman, these people would let it go, because if you really think about it, people are way more sympathetic in the United States of America to dogs because animals are viewed as innocent, because again, they're quite literally not humans. So these people would just as easily cover up physical abuse against women or against other people in his life because they just want that clout. It's shameful, it's disgusting, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via support links in the description of the video. This has been me talking about the ongoing cover-up for Cenk's nephew in Collargate. Till next time.